The shadow among the pines. It was a moonless night in the mountains of Utah. Jenna and her friends, Eli, Marcus, and Tori, had set up camp deep in the forest, miles from civilization. They came seeking the thrill of isolation, drawn by the whispers of strange happenings in the area. Tonight, they would challenge those whispers. The campfire crackled, casting flickering shadows on the towering pines. They huddled around, swapping tales of haunted trails and eerie encounters. Inevitably, the legend of the skinwalker surfaced. Skinwalkers are Navajo witches, Marcus began, his voice low. They wear animal skins, take their shapes. But it's not just that. They mimic voices too. They lure you out. Tori rolled her eyes. That's just a myth, yet her voice betrayed her unease, her gaze darting toward the darkness. Jenna stared into the fire. People say they move so fast, you don't see them coming. And once you do, it's too late. A nervous laugh rippled through the group, but the unease lingered. Above them, the wind stirred the treetops, whispering through the branches. One by one, they retreated into their tents. The fire burned down to embers, leaving the forest cloaked in heavy silence. But the silence was short-lived. Jenna awoke to a sound, faint at first, a high-pitched wail, distant but unmistakable. It sent a shiver crawling up her spine. "Eli," she whispered, her voice barely audible. No response. The wail echoed again, closer this time. It sounded like someone crying for help. Unzipping her tent, Jenna peeked out. The campsite lay still under the pale glow of the moon. Nothing moved. "Help me." The voice was clearer now, a desperate plea that sent her heart racing. It was Marcus's voice, but that didn't make sense. Marcus was in his tent. "Jenna." The cry was frantic now, coming from deeper in the woods. Against her better judgment, she grabbed her flashlight and crept out of her tent. The cold air bit at her skin as she scanned the darkness. "Marcus," she called, her voice trembling. Silence. Turning toward his tent, she froze. It was empty, the flaps swinging open in the breeze. "Jenna, please, help me." The voice came from the trees now. Her legs moved before her mind could stop them. She plunged into the forest, her flashlight beam flickering as she pushed through the undergrowth. "Marcus, where are you?" she yelled, panic rising. The voice seemed to shift, first ahead, then behind, then to her left. "Jenna," she spun around, her flashlight catching a blur of movement. A shadow darted between the trees, impossibly fast. "Marcus," she whispered, dread tightening her chest. It stepped into view. The figure looked like Marcus, but wrong. His face was pale, his eyes hollow, and his movements unnatural, like a marionette jerked by invisible strings. "Help me." The voice cracked, layered with a guttural growl. Jenna stumbled back, the flashlight shaking in her grip. The figure grinned, its mouth stretching impossibly wide. Then it dropped to all fours. The transformation was horrifying, its limbs elongated, its fingers curling into claws. Its skin rippled as for sprouted in patches. The head snapped forward, cracking as it stretched into a wolf-like snout. It charged. Jenna turned and ran, the forest a blur around her. Heavy, irregular breathing followed close behind, claws tearing into the ground. She tripped, the flashlight flying from her hand. Scrambling to her feet, she turned to face the creature. It was gone. The forest was deathly still. "Jenna?" The whisper came from directly behind her. She turned, tears streaming down her face. It was Tori this time, or something that looked like her, twisted and wrong. Black voids replaced her eyes. "Why are you running?" Jenna backed away, her heart pounding in her ears. The creature lunged. Darkness engulfed her. When the search parties arrived days later, they found the campsite abandoned. Tents were slashed open, their contents scattered. Claw marks were etched into the trees, circling the camp. They spelled a single word: run.